and welcome to Sportish, where we look at life through the lens of sport. I'm Georgie Trickett.
And I am Libby Trickett.
And Libby, I have to tell you this, I'm shocked to learn that people don't necessarily always tune in to an Olympics when it's a Winter Olympics. Have you been talking to people and been saying to them, are you watching, and finding out that they're not?
Actually, that is a really interesting observation. I hadn't stopped to think about it, but I know that I've been finding it difficult because of the time difference.
Oh, it's, brutal.
Like it's so bad for Australia where it is in Milano Cortina. It's so difficult to understand when events are on. It's difficult to understand what events have passed and that we've been through. The system, the routine that I'm in at the moment is just like logging on at night when we're having dinner and, you know, just kind of checking out the day's highlights. That's kind of the process that I'm in. How about you?
I think I mentioned last week, I have a philosophy in our household that, you know, we're pretty tight on screen time any other time of, you know, the year. But when an Olympics comes round, and a Paralympics, I should say, all of those standards are dropped. I couldn't care less about how much TV you're watching when an Olympics or a Paralympics are on. My older two kids, totally on board. My youngest kid is like, can't I just watch cartoons? And the answer is no. Yeah. If there is curling on, you're going to watch the curling. If there's figure skating on, sit down and watch that. Or go outside and play. Your choice. Yeah. But the screen is on the Olympics, the Winter Olympics. I actually just think it's a reflection of the fact that here in Australia, we don't have a natural connection necessarily to snow. Maybe in more southern states where, you know, you're having exposure to ski resorts and you're hiking through mountains and finding cross-country skiing, that's maybe more accessible. Maybe in more northern climes like Brisbane, where it's 30 degrees and you're stuck to the couch because it's so hot. It's less of a natural fit, because at sport on Saturday I was saying to people, did you watch Valentino Giseli? Did you see him go off the big air? It was amazing. And blank faces. And it was almost like I had to say, look, guys, the Winter Olympics are on. Turn on Channel 9. Please watch. It was interesting. Before we deep dive on any of the sport, I just want to recap on some of the highlights for me of the opening ceremony.
Yes, perfect. Great place to start at the beginning.
The opening ceremony was set in a number of locations. So I feel like 2 Olympics in a row, we've had experimental formats of opening ceremonies.
Paris, notoriously, all over the place.
You hated it. It was on a river. It rained.
I did not enjoy it. Yeah. It was something. I mean, good on them for trying something.
As a viewer, I really liked Paris. As an athlete, you hated how it was all laid out. So with the Winter Olympics, it's situated as an Olympic Games across many different locations. And actually, this is a format I think we'll see a lot more going forward with our Olympic, Paralympic, Winter and Summer Games. They will be located not just necessarily in a city, because we're trying to make the Olympic Games more affordable. We want countries to bid for them. And sometimes that means all your events won't be in Paris, or won't be, in the case of the Italian Winter Games, they're not just in Milan or just not in Cortina. There's actually multiple sites where athletes are located. And so what you had in Milan was the stadium, and I felt good for you that we're back in a stadium. We're
back in a stadium. The athletes walked out to a stadium.
Well, some of them did, but some of them didn't. So the athletes who are based in Milan, and Milan is, I think, where you're seeing like the ice skating and the ice hockey and those sort of events. Athletes based there did walk out in Milan, but if you had those athletes who were more mountain-based, they walked out at their respective mountain locations and under an arch. And it was really beautifully replicated. So you had an arch that they walked through in Milan and an arch that they walked through in the different locations, to the point where it took me a few teams to realise that we were being shot to different places.
I had not put that together.
There you go. It was clever broadcast work.
Yeah.
The teams that walked out before Australia, there were many teams in Milan who didn't have anyone who walked out in Milan. It wasn't until we went to some of the other sites that those teams walked out. It was only, I think, there was huge gaps, and then Australia walked out and they had a contingent in Milan who walked out. Other things that I loved from the opening ceremony, I thought Andrea Bocelli
magic.
was sublime. And everything we want in an opening or closing ceremony at an Olympic or Paralympic Games. It is those iconic moments that give you absolute goosebumps, that make you cry. I made all my children watch it and be like, see this guy, this is amazing. It was enough to make anyone think they could become an Olympian.
Oh, for sure. That was the moment for Celine Dion for me in Paris as well. Like, you just have these iconic performers, you know, international, global superstars who are just singing these most beautiful songs. Like, that's the goosebumps stuff. Outside of the, you know, actual sport and performance, that's the shiz for me.
I think as well, games like this do a beautiful job at combining and showcasing culture and sport side by side, because often we separate them and we say that, you know, they're not connected. They're absolutely intrinsically connected. And to see, you know, Italy is all about fashion, to see all the fashion come out.
Can we just quickly talk about how much cooler Winter Olympians are than Summer Olympians?
In terms of their fashion?
Bloody everything, Georgie. Everything. They're just so much cooler. They just ooze cool compared to the dweebs of the Summer Olympics. And I say that as a, you know, as a former dweeb myself. Like, the outfits are so much cooler. And I don't mean that literally, because obviously literally it's much colder there, but like, they are just cool, bloody dudes. And I'm just, I absolutely am obsessed with all of the fits, you know, whether it's the downhill skiing or the big air or, you know, what was I watching the other day? The skiathlon.
Oh, they're amazing.
Like, all of the outfits are so cool.
I think as well, even the ladies who held the country signs, now they were holding huge blocks of ice, which must have been very heavy. I can only imagine the strength training they've done for that. And then the jackets, the silver puffy jackets they wore were the coolest thing I've ever seen. And they literally glowed. Like, as the light hit them in the stadium, they radiated light. It was so clever. It was so Italian. It set a tone that just was like, hi, welcome to our country. We're quite cool.
I love it.
And there are countries that know how to do winter, I think, and that's what we saw.
Yeah,
like exceptional outfits. Other highlights included paint tubes, coffee pots in various colours.
I mean, could it be more Italian?
Mariah Carey left a little bit to be desired.
I saw her at R&B Fridays when she came last year. And look, R&B Fridays is not the Olympics. It is so far from the Olympics. But she left a little to be desired. Look, I think the draw card of Mariah is that she is Mariah.
She's just 2 months too late. Like, it's not December.
She needs to be refrozen before being rethought again for December.
Right, we need to go deep on the sport. Obviously,
yes.
There's already been some exceptional performances by many athletes, and also already so much heartbreak so early on in a competition. And of course, I am talking about Lindsey Vonn, the American downhill skier who had been on an absolute tear this season. She had come back after having so many knees reconstructed, after being retired.
6 years out of the sport, Georgie. 6 years.
Yes. And she's come back into downhill at the age, I think, of 41.
Yeah, she's my age. Jesus Christ.
Libby, you could be a downhill skier too. It's not too late.
Again, my dweeb factor just really limits my ability to do what she does. Really just restrains it.
She had been an outstanding performer as the World Cup season had gone on. She had won a number of events. There was incredible hype around her coming into the Olympics. And then a week out from the Olympics, she did an ACL, which is a pretty important ligament on your knee. And
but she didn't just do it. She obliterated it. Like, it's no longer there.
Gone. It's gone.
Totally gone.
And she then made the call that she was still going to compete. She was confident that she had the quad strength, the glute strength, all the muscle strength that sits in and around the knee to stabilize it enough. And she was able to wear a brace under the rules, regulations of downhill skiing. And she felt like that was enough to ensure that she could have a crack at the gold medal for the women's downhill. And then tragically, over the weekend as she started to descend down the hill. She cut a line really close to one of the gates. I think it was the fourth gate, and she clipped that gate. And because of the speed that these women are flying at, and I can't stress enough just how fast these downhill skiers are going, because of the speed at which she was going when she hit that gate, it just totally spun her around and caused the most catastrophic of crashes, where she ended up on the snow in incredible pain. I've never watched a broadcast where I could hear an athlete screaming. That was quite traumatic and had to be airlifted off the course and taken to hospital, where she's had one of her legs reset.
Watching it live. So it was really interesting because obviously there's been a huge hype build up around Lindsey Vonn, right? Because it is this incredible story. And Lindsey Vonn, for people who don't know, she won the gold medal in this event in 2010. As we said, she had been retired due to injuries for 6 years and had won one of the lead-up events. The week before, she obviously obliterated her ACL, which is not an uncommon thing for a lot of these athletes. Every athlete that they introduce, it's like, oh, this one's coming back from
this
2 or 3 ACL surgeries, and this one's coming back from a meniscus tear, and this one's coming back from a ankle reconstruction. Like, it's insane what these athletes are putting themselves through, rightly or wrongly, and probably wrongly. But my initial reaction to watching all of this unfold, because I was so excited to watch her. I'm like, yeah, go girlfriend. Like, this is so cool. Like, go and get it. You see the tumble in real time. So you see the accident, which is horrific in itself. But then the broadcast was so eerily quiet.
Yeah.
And all you can hear is Lindsey moaning in pain. And I'm like, well, that is just horrific. Like, someone give her something for the pain. My God, like,
where's
hurry up.
the green whistle?
Where is the green whistle? I was like, just knock her out. Like, I don't know, something. Do something for this poor woman who's just in, like, the moaning was just like harrowing. And I was thinking about it. My poor nervous system is not cut out to watch the Winter Olympics. I'm like, everyone can die at any point in these sports. Any sport, even curling. Like, if you fall and crack your head on the ice, you're gone. You're dead.
They all should have helmets on.
Everyone should have helmets. The fact that you can see it and replays and you're seeing it in real time. I was thinking about it. I'm like, with the Summer Olympics and Paralympics, it's such a beautiful distraction from the world, right? People can disassociate for a little bit from the absolute bin fire that is the world at the moment. And we can all come together and enjoy these moments of inspiration. And yeah, there's some heartbreak, but you know, really it's just like really exciting and fun and uplifting and a real joining together of collective effervescence, right? Watching Lindsey was just awful. Exactly what my nervous system didn't need, because it was just so, like, my heart broke for her. It was just so painful. And like, the athlete in me is like, I totally get it. I totally understand why she would have just thrown herself at this opportunity. Like, these moments do not come. And when that is the passion and the fire, and my God, if I could stand behind the blocks at the Olympic Games again, I would do it in a heartbeat. But, you know, then the spectator in me is like, oh my God, like, I can't, this is not enjoyable at all to see this person not only go through heartbreak of having their, you know, dreams kind of crushed, but then also just the physical observation of this pain and the experience. I found it really, really fascinating.
I think when we were talking about this earlier in the week, I made the comment to you that in my mind, winter sports really are one of the original extreme sports. Like, it's not like you're swimming up and down a 50-meter pool. Like, what are the risks there? You might...
No, with lifeguards. Yeah, with lifeguards everywhere.
You know, the risk there versus the risk of sliding down a mountain at 130 kilometres around gates on, I know we describe it as snow and
Ice.
it is snow, but it's literally ice. And that ice is as hard as concrete. You know, it's quite a different set of circumstances that you see presented. I think what was really interesting was how the internet then responded. So already prior to her race in the finals, there was a lot of thinking happening out there about whether she should even race. Lots of sports medical people weighing in on the risks and all that sort of thing. Again, I just find it fascinating because it's, for the most part, it's actually none of their business.
It's no one's business.
An athlete knows their own body, and I hope people, having seen those downhill races now, can appreciate just how strong their legs are and quite superhuman as compared to, you know, the quads, the hammies of you and I, how much strength they have.
Of you or I, yeah.
As two examples. But it was really interesting. I saw a great article on Substack from the Sports Ambassador, which is the newsletter of journalist Tracy Holmes. And it really dug into this idea that would we have had such a critique in the lead up and also in the aftermath of a male athlete? Like the terminology that's used, the way it's explored, the judgments that are cast. Is there a slightly gendered lens around all this? Because at the same time that Lindsey Vonn was crashing out of the downhill, Austria's Benjamin Karl, who's 40, was snowboarding to gold in the men's parallel giant slalom. So similar ages, similar risk factors, one would assume. And does our commentary change because we're dealing with a female athlete?
And again, I mean, this is maybe taking it on a tangent. I Googled whether she had kids as well.
Interesting.
And that's probably a super internalized misogyny, or I don't know, because I probably wouldn't have done that for Benjamin or, you know, anything like that. And, you know, obviously we just watched Alex Honnold climb to the top of a skyscraper and
with two kids.
He's got two kids. I think we did have a conversation around that, but it is interesting. That's like the immediate question that I had, because I don't know, it felt like it maybe changed the lens. And I mean, I don't have a full stop on that particular thought, but it is an interesting dynamic. And other than injuries, I am thoroughly enjoying watching the Winter Olympics. I don't know a lot about a lot of the sports, and I'm really enjoying learning. I mean, if the athletes could just keep the injuries to a minimum, that would be just perfect.
Great for your nervous system. While we're still in the realm of Winter Olympics, I just want to give a shout out to the winter athletes that we have that may not be placing anywhere significant, but are on debut and having a go. I know so many of our cross-country ski athletes were out there over the weekend doing things like skiathlon, which I was like, what even is that? And it's two different types.
Yes, I was watching this. Fascinating.
So fascinating. So we have sent a team, I think, of about 53 athletes. Some of them you will not see in finals, or you will not see in the top 10 or even the top 20. That doesn't mean that their attendance there is any less. It's truly incredible that as a very arid nation, we have managed to send so many athletes and that we really dominate on so many levels, particularly in some of the disciplines. But make sure you have a look at those cross-country skiers or the luge or the whatever it is. Keep an eye on it. Get behind these athletes. It's a big deal. Some of them have done season's best, PBs in an Olympic setting, and I think that's absolutely something we should celebrate.
The dedication and the effort for any Australian to make any Olympic or Paralympic team is just massive. But like the barriers for Australians to kind of get to that level of Winter Olympics is like next level. So
well done.
Get around them.
Lib, I opened up the emails this week and I was very excited to see an email from one of our listeners who said, I recently listened to the Sports Shorts, what being the worst on the team taught us. And my God, it taught us a lot. So we appreciate listening to that. And I just wanted to give a shout out to a fabulous pair of ladies who have organised the Hastings Women's Twilight Cricket Comp. Not because they are the worst on the team, but it's okay if you are. But not because they are the worst on the team, but because they embody everything you were talking about in this episode. Our listener then provided us with a little bit of detail about this Twilight Women's Cricket Comp. Sarah Spencer from Bonny Hills Lake Cathy Cricket Club, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, and Nikki Strong Harris from the Port Macquarie Cricket Club started the comp last year with 4 teams of 4 weeks. We were just a bunch of mums and daughters trying our best to bowl the ball on the pitch and actually connect the bat with the ball. Some of us had played cricket before, some didn't know how many balls were in an over, and many of us had spent hours as a spectator. Despite the nerves and anxiety, it was such a fun and inclusive thing to be a part of. The umpires, the husbands, the dads, or the sons, were lovely, giving gentle technique advice and generally helping out. What was also pretty adorable was to witness so many sons, husbands, parents, etc. at the beginning of each game supporting the players, offering tips and giving advice on how to stand, hold the bat, or simply giving throwdowns before a player had to go out and bat. My daughter and I travelled from Kempsey, which is approximately 1 hour drive, to play in the comp last year as they needed players to make up the 4 teams. I will note that my daughter can play cricket, and there were also some other players who were also really good players, which helped to bring up the standard to a decent level. This year, our cricket club, Rovers Cricket Club Kempsey, have entered a team, and the comp has grown to 7 teams over 6 weeks, which is a pretty incredible achievement for Sarah and Nikki. Our first match is this evening at 5:30 p.m. I'm already feeling quite nervous, but I am determined to push through the discomfort and simply enjoy the experience of playing cricket with a lovely bunch of women who would normally be on the sidelines scoring, running a canteen, or sorting out the team kit bag. Here's to doing something outside of our comfort zone.
Yes, that is the point of the Midweek Hall of Fame. That is so cool.
Isn't that amazing? The fact that people have gone out and created this competition, created an environment where women feel like they can participate. And these are women who have been around cricket a lot. They've been doing all the emotional labour, the physical labour of getting everybody to cricket and being a part of a club, and to give them the opportunity in a setting where they feel comfortable is just everything we want for our community when it comes to sport.
Yeah, it's everything that you could hope for. I love that. Thank you for sharing, Sporties.
A beautiful email to read, and a shout out to those women who set that up. We know that takes an incredible amount of work, and it's unpaid work, and we can't tell you enough how much you're contributing to the fabric of sport in Australia. So thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Sportish. Make sure you hit follow, make sure you share. And as always, you can find us at Being Sportish on Instagram.
On the socials. Also YouTube.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
We would like to acknowledge and give thanks to the traditional owners of the land we record this podcast on, the Yagara and Turrbal people,
and their continued connection to the land and waterways on which we meet.